Good evening. This is All India Radio. I'm Lalema Aneja Dang, and with me is R.S. Raghu with the evening news. The headlines. Honouring the honest platform for transparent taxation unveiled by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Prime Minister calls for faceless and seamless tax system and to take care of taxpayers' dignity. Record number of over 8.3 lakh COVID-19 tests in a single day. Rajasthan Assembly session begins tomorrow. And Assam government allows public transport under new guidelines for Unlock 3. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that the tax system in the country is becoming faceless and it will give the taxpayer a feeling of fairness and fearlessness. Launching transparent taxation, honouring the honest platform through video conferencing in New Delhi today, Mr. Modi said tax administration should solve problems instead of confusing the taxpayer, and everything from technology to rules should be simple. He said identities of the taxpayer and tax officer should not matter at all. The Prime Minister said the effort is to make tax system seamless, painless and faceless.
कॉर्पोरेट टैक्स के मामले में हम दुनिया में सबसे कम टैक्स लेने वाले देशों में से एक हैं। साथियों, कोशिश ये है कि हमारी टैक्स प्रणाली सीमलेस हो, पेनलेस हो, फेसलेस हो। सीमलेस यानी टैक्स एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन हर टैक्स पेयर को उलझाने के बजाय समस्या को सुलझाने के लिए काम करे। पेनलेस यानी टेक्नोलॉजी से लेकर रूल्स तक सब कुछ सिंपल हो। फेसलेस यानी टैक्स पेयर कौन है और टैक्स ऑफिसर कौन है, इससे मतलब ही नहीं होना चाहिए।
Listing taxation reforms undertaken by his government since 2014, Mr. Modi said the goods and services tax amalgamated dozens of taxes, thresholds fixed for pursuing tax matters in different courts, and a dispute resolution scheme brought in to reduce litigation. He said there is no tax on income up to 5 lakh rupees for individuals, and tax slabs for incomes higher than 5 lakh rupees have also been reduced. Mr. Modi said the taxpayer base at just 1.5 crore in India is very low. He urged those who owe taxes to come forward and honestly pay their dues and contribute to nation building.
ये वृद्धि तो बहुत बड़ी है, लेकिन इस बात का हम इनकार नहीं कर सकते हैं कि इसके बावजूद भी 130 करोड़ के देश में ये बहुत कम है, बहुत कम है। इतने बड़े देश में सिर्फ 130 करोड़ में से 1.5 करोड़ साथी ही इनकम टैक्स जमा करते हैं। 130 करोड़ में 1.5 करोड़। मैं आज देशवासियों से भी आग्रह करूंगा, जो सक्षम है उनको भी आग्रह करूंगा, भिन्न भिन्न करके व्यापार उद्योग के संगठन चलाते हैं उनको भी आग्रह करूंगा। इस पर हम सबको चिंतन करने की जरूरत है। देश को आत्मचिंतन करना होगा और ये हमारा आत्मचिंतन ही आत्मनिर्भर भारत के लिए आवश्यक है, अनिवार्य है।
Mr. Modi said while it is the responsibility of tax officers to deal with taxpayers with dignity, people should also consider paying taxes as their responsibility. He said taxpayers' charter is a big step in the development journey of the nation. He added that it is a step towards bringing together rights and duties of the taxpayer and fixing the government's responsibilities towards the taxpayer. The Prime Minister said in the last 6 years, the government focused on banking the unbanked, securing the unsecured, and funding the unfunded. He said, during this time, India has seen a new model of governance developing in tax administration. Mr. Modi said, today, every law and policy is taken out of the process and power-centric approach, and emphasis is given to make it people-centric and public-friendly. He said it is the new governance model of the new India and the country is getting good results from it. Mr. Modi said, looking at the commitment towards reforms, the confidence of foreign investors is also increasing continuously towards India. He said arrival of record foreign direct investment to India even during the corona crisis is an example of it. The Prime Minister said economic reforms in the past were done under compulsions or pressure, which did not yield desired results. He said for his government, reforms mean reforms based on policy, reforms that are holistic and not piecemeal, and one reform forming the base for the other. Mr. Modi said reform is a continuous process.
एक दौर था जब हमारे यहाँ रिफॉर्म्स की बहुत बातें होती थी। कभी मजबूरी में कुछ फैसले लिए जाते थे, कभी दबाव में कुछ फैसले हो जाते थे, तो उन्हें रिफॉर्म कह दिया जाता था। इस कारण इच्छित परिणाम नहीं मिलते। अब ये सोच और अप्रोच दोनों बदल गई है। हमारे लिए रिफॉर्म का मतलब है रिफॉर्म नीति आधारित हो, टुकड़ों में नहीं हो, होलिस्टिक हो और एक रिफॉर्म दूसरे रिफॉर्म का आधार बने।
The Prime Minister said government brought in Vivad Se Vishwas scheme so that maximum cases get resolved outside court. As a result, in a short time, about 3 lakh cases have been resolved. The Prime Minister said new arrangements, new facilities starting today strengthens government's commitment to minimum government, maximum governance. He said it will strengthen efforts of reforming and simplifying India's tax system. The Prime Minister also unveiled the next phase of direct tax reforms aimed at easing compliance and rewarding honest taxpayers to boost Indian economy. The Prime Minister said, amidst all the reforms introduced by the centre, the number of people who have filed income tax returns has increased by about 2.5 crores in the last 6 to 7 years. He, however, said it is also true that in a country of 130 crores, it is still very less. Our correspondent reports that faceless assessment taxpayer charter starts from today and faceless appeal to begin from September the 25th, the birthday of Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay.
President of the National Industry Body ASSOCHAM, Dr. Niranjan Hiranandani today said that a transparent tax scheme would encourage voluntary tax filing. He said the initiative announced by the Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi is a move towards making the entire tax filing system into a hassle-free and painless experience for the taxpayer, which would eventually encourage people to voluntarily pay taxes on their own. He said the central government's step to reward honest taxpayers is a great leap to ushering a transparent tax regime in the country. States, he said, as a part of the ongoing structural reforms, this move is in line with the minimum government, maximum governance motto of the Government of India. Mr. Rajiv Podar, President of IMC Chamber of Commerce and Industry Mumbai, said that the new transparent tax scheme will greatly reduce the cost of compliance and the difficulties faced by the taxpayers. He said the taxpayers' charter will help ease of doing business and put India into a club which very few countries have. Earlier today, welcoming the new tax platform, Kumaramanglam Vijay, partner J. Sagar Associates said proposed reforms launched by the Prime Minister to simplify assessment and appellate process, coupled with initiative to provide pre-filled return forms to taxpayers, are steps towards making the process technology-driven and easy to comply for a common person. He said the government has rightly increased the thresholds for appeals to be filed by the revenue to reduce litigations. Secretary General of FICCI, Dilip Chenoy, called it a historic step in tax administration. He said this will primarily benefit the honest taxpayers and added that FICCI welcomes the charter and transparency that has been brought in. In an effort to guard against fake news being circulated on various platforms, we bring you our segment on Fact Check and Mythbusters. A document is being shared on social media platforms as the new Taxpayers Charter of India. The Ministry of Finance has termed this claim as fake and informed that the widely shared document on these platforms is in fact the Taxpayers Charter of a foreign country and not of India. Citizens can visit the website incometaxindia.gov.in to view the actual Taxpayers Charter of the country unveiled by the Prime Minister today.
Crossing the 8 lakh per day milestone of tests in a single day, India has registered a record high of 8,30,391 tests conducted in the last 24 hours in India. In pursuance of the test, track and treat strategy, India is geared up to reach the testing capacity of 10 lakh tests per day. the country touched another peak of highest ever single-day recoveries of 56,383 in a single day. With this, total number of recovered COVID-19 patients have touched nearly 17 lakh today. Health Ministry said the concerted, focused and collaborative efforts of the centre and the state and UT governments, along with support of lakhs of frontline workers, have ensured the successful implementation of testing aggressively, tracking comprehensively and treating efficiently through an array of measures, including supervised home isolation and effective clinical management of severe and critical patients through the standard of care advised by the centre. With increasing number of recoveries, the recovery rate has reached 70.77%. The case mortality among COVID patients has further regressed to 1.96% and steadily declining. The record high recoveries have ensured that the actual caseload of the country, which is the active cases, has reduced and currently is only 27.27% of the total positive cases. The recoveries exceed the active cases by more than 10 lakh. The recovery rate of COVID patients in Delhi stands at 89.86% today. The city recorded recovery of 913 patients in the last 24 hours, taking the total number of recovered patients till date to 1,34,318. With increased testing, the city has made remarkable achievement of conducting 66,215 corona tests per million of its population. A total of 956 new confirmed cases of coronavirus were reported in the national capital during the last 24 hours.
Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath has given directions for increase in the number of doctors in COVID hospitals of the state. Apart from doctors, the number of COVID beds in L2 category hospitals in all districts will also be increased. More from our correspondent.
A dedicated COVID hospital will be established in the famous Cancer Institute of the state capital Lucknow, where number of COVID patients is highest in the state. COVID beds will also be increased in hospitals of Kanpur and Varanasi districts along with Lucknow. Chief Minister stressed on testing of all persons residing in any containment zone of the state. He has asked to increase the contract tracing. Meanwhile, state capital Lucknow recorded highest number of 621 new cases in last 24 hours. City has currently 7,039 active COVID patients. Kanpur and Gorakhpur are other hotspots in the state where more than 300 new COVID cases were found. 4,603 new patients have been found in the state and 50 persons lost their lives due to the deadly virus yesterday. Currently, there are 49,709 active cases in the state. Sushil Chandra Tiwari, AIR News, Lucknow.
Odisha has recorded the highest single-day spike of 1,981 COVID-19 positive cases, with the total tally mounting to 52,653. The state has also reported 9 COVID-19 related deaths during the last 24 hours, taking the toll beyond 300. While 36,478 persons have been cured, there are still 15,808 cases under treatment. A report.
Despite putting in place a robust mechanism of proactive responses against COVID-19, the trajectory of the virus in the state has been on the upswing, particularly during the last 1 month. The government of Odisha has already initiated a couple of novel methods against the novel coronavirus, which include investing the sarpanches with the powers of a district collector in their respective jurisdiction to deepen community surveillance and 14 days mandatory but incentivized quarantine for the returnees with a view to arresting the surge in COVID-19 caseload. Meanwhile, 5 plasma banks in the state are operating with encouraging results. The government has also decided to slap stricter penalty on the violators of the pandemic protocols that include imprisonment up to 2 years and a fine up to 1 lakh rupees or both. Girish Chandra Das, AIR News, Bhubaneswar.
More than 18 lakh samples of COVID-19 have been tested in Rajasthan so far. Health Minister Dr. Raghu Sharma said that more than 32,000 samples are being tested per day in the state. He informed that the recovery rate of COVID patients has risen to 74% in the state, while the mortality rate of corona patients has fallen to 1.40% from 1.55%.
In Meghalaya, 14 new COVID-19 cases were reported today, taking the total number of active cases to 640. The number of recovered COVID-19 patients have gone up to 547, with 30 new recovered cases. Health Minister Al Haq informed media that out of 14 new cases today, 11 were from East Khasi Hills district, which include 3 armed force personnel and 8 civilians. 1 civilian from North Garo Hills district and 2 from West Garo Hills district. In Meghalaya, following the outbreak of African swine fever ASF in 12 villages located in 4 districts, which include West Jantia Hills, West Khasi Hills, East Khasi Hills and Riboi district, the government has decided to declare all villages where pigs have died to be a containment zone. The Assam government has issued new guidelines for Unlock 3, including allowing public transport with 50% capacity. An order issued by Chief Secretary Kumar Sanjay Krishna said that public transport and city buses are allowed subject to maintenance of COVID-19 protocols and social distancing with 50% capacity. The order also said that inter-district movement of people and passenger vehicles are allowed between Monday and Friday. Movement of individuals shall remain strictly prohibited from 9:30 p.m. to 5 a.m. The new order will come into force at 5 a.m. on the 16th of this month and shall remain valid till the 31st of this month.
9,996 new COVID-19 positive cases have been recorded when tested at least 55,692 samples in Andhra Pradesh during the last 24 hours. 9,499 persons have recovered and have been discharged from various COVID hospitals in the state during past 24 hours, time as per the AP State COVID Nodal Officer Vijayawada AP. You are listening to the evening news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Honoring the honest platform for transparent taxation unveiled by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Prime Minister calls for faceless and seamless tax system and to take care of taxpayers' dignity. Record number of over 8.3 lakh COVID-19 tests in a single day. Rajasthan Assembly session begins tomorrow. And Assam government allows public transport under new guidelines for Unlock 3. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
Amid the political crisis going on in the state for the last 1 month, the session of the State Assembly will begin tomorrow. Before the session, the meetings of BJP and Congress Legislature Party were held today in Jaipur, where both parties discussed their strategy for the session. The meeting held at Chief Minister's residence was also attended by 18 Congress MLAs who had supported Sachin Pilot. The BJP has decided to move a motion of no confidence against the Ashok Gehlot-led Congress government in the State Assembly. The decision was taken in a BJP Legislature Party meeting. Here's more from our correspondent.
Before the meeting of Congress Legislature Party, former Deputy Chief Minister Sachin Pilot reached at CM residence to meet Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot this evening. The meeting between the two leaders took place after a month-long political crisis in the state, which was also attended by other senior leaders of Congress. On the other hand, the meeting of BJP Legislature Party also held at the party office. After the meeting, State BJP President Dr. Satish Punia told that the BJP is ready to bring a no-confidence motion against the government in the House. Most of Congress MLAs are still camping in the hotel. Hence, it is believed that the government will prove its majority in the House. The Congress also revoked suspension of its 2 MLAs. Jitendra Dwivedi, AIR News, Jaipur.
Self-reliance in the defence sector is far more crucial than any other field. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh said this while launching new products of the Defence Public Sector Undertakings DPSU and Ordnance Factory Board OFB as part of the celebrations of Atmanirbharta Saptah. Mr. Singh said India should not only aim to ensure fulfillment of its own national interests, but also should be able to help other people in times of need. Highlighting the importance of security in relation with the development of our nation, the Defence Minister said nations which are able to protect themselves have been able to build a strong image at the global level. He asserted that the nation cannot depend solely on foreign governments, suppliers and defence products to address India's defence requirements. Mr. Singh stressed on increasing indigenous production in terms with the objectives of a strong and Atmanirbhar Bharat.
In the run-up to the 74th Independence Day celebrations, we bring you today a special story about the several initiatives for J&K Ek Desh Ek Vishwas. It has been about only a year that the Article 370 was revoked in Jammu and Kashmir, and it has already started reaping the benefits of being out of isolation. Our correspondent reports that the large-scale projects and schemes undertaken by the centre in the fields of infrastructure, health, education and employment have started giving positive results. More from our correspondent.
Jammu and Kashmir, supposedly the heaven on earth, has a past and history. For over half a century, it could not grow to the full height and glory. There are some political historians who believe that it was deliberately kept away from the fruits of development and self-reliance as it served the purpose of corruption, benefiting only few politicians. The biggest obstacle in the way of development of the entire region and the easiest tool for hiding corruption had been Article 370. It was done away with by the Parliament last year. Now the absence of this article, which separated the region from the rest of the country, thereby promoting separatist tendencies, has opened the floodgates of substantial development of Jammu and Kashmir. One can hope that despite challenges thrown by the COVID-19, the fast-paced implementation of these schemes will usher the people of Jammu and Kashmir in a new era of prosperity in the true spirit of Ek Desh Ek Vishwas. Naseem Naqvi, AIR News, New Delhi.
In the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, advisor to Lieutenant Governor Basir Ahmed Khan today held a public outreach program at Chadura area of District Budgam and met scores of public delegations and individuals who apprised him about their problems and demands. During his visit to the district, the advisor also inspected ongoing works of MG Narega in Block Chadura and directed the concerned officers to expedite the completion of works. The advisor impressed upon the concerned officers to expedite pace on all work projects that are under execution in the district and maintain close liaison with the local population so that their grievances are redressed at the earliest.
Kempegowda International Airport in Bengaluru facilitated safe transit of 38,896 international passengers between April the 1st and July the 31st. This includes 186 Vande Bharat mission flights, bringing 24,039 passengers from abroad and 174 evacuation flights, repatriating 14,857 passengers from India. The Vande Bharat mission commenced from 7th of May. For the first time, the international airport in Bengaluru facilitated evacuation flights from 11 new cities, including Auckland, Baku in Azerbaijan, Baghdad, Cairo, Paro in Bhutan, Stockholm and Tbilisi in Georgia. Like every year, this year too, the Maharashtra government has decided to give a toll waiver to citizens travelling to Konkan during Ganesh festival this year. The 10-day-long Ganpati festival is all set to commence from the 22nd of this month. State Public Works Public Undertakings Minister Eknath Shinde today said that the exemption will be given for 2 days before the start of Ganeshotsav and 2 days on the return journey. We have a report from our Mumbai correspondent.
State PWD Minister Mr. Eknath Shinde said citizens who wish to go to Konkan for Ganeshotsav will get an immediate toll exemption sticker once they give the details including their vehicle number, name of the vehicle owner and date of travel to the local police station. He also said that it is mandatory to get the COVID-19 test done and get the e-pass as per the rules of the state government before travelling to Konkan in view of the pandemic. In another development, the Maharashtra government today told the Bombay High Court that it cannot permit Jain temples in Mumbai to open for devotees to mark the festival of Paryushan in view of the COVID-19 pandemic. The state said that opening the temples from August 15 to 23 this year, as requested by the Jain community, would lead to an imminent danger of the spread of the virus. Switi Jain, AR News, Mumbai.
The nation will celebrate the 74th Independence Day on Saturday. Security has been tightened in the national capital in view of the celebrations. A full dress rehearsal was held at the historic Red Fort in Delhi this morning for the Independence Day celebrations. In view of COVID-19 situation, the Delhi police has requested the invitees to follow guidelines issued by the Home Ministry and the Health Ministry at all times while they are in the function area at Red Fort. More than 4,000 security personnel will be deployed at the Red Fort and they will stand maintaining social distance. There will be a multi-layer security ring including NSG snipers, elite SWAT commandos and kite catchers around the Red Fort. Flying of sub-conventional aerial platforms like UAVs, paragliders and hot air balloons in the national capital has been prohibited till Saturday, citing security reasons. The Delhi police has issued a traffic advisory to ensure safe and smooth vehicular movement across the national capital on Independence Day.
In Manipur, the Patriots' Day is being observed today, commemorating the 1891 Anglo-Manipuri War, during which many Manipuris sacrificed their lives to safeguard the independence of the state. The day is observed every year on the 13th of August to pay homage to the great martyrs. It was on this day in 1891 brave Manipuris, including the then Prince of Manipur, Bir Tikendrajit, and Thangal General, were hanged before the general public in the present Imphal area. As part of the observance, Prabhat Ferry was held in the morning in the streets of Imphal city. In the state function, the Chief Minister leads the people in paying floral tributes to the martyrs of the state at different places of Imphal. This year, the day is being held without involving the general public due to COVID-19 pandemic. The one-day monsoon session of the Nagaland Legislative Assembly adjourned sine die by Speaker Sharingain Longkuma this afternoon. The session was held in order to fulfill the constitutional requirement of holding the session within a 6-month period. The House commenced without the participation of the opposition bench Naga's People's Front. The opposition bench had boycotted the session, alleging that the session has been convened for mere fulfillment of constitutional obligation. Despite the absence of the opposition members, the replies to 12 starred queries put up by them were tabled in the House by the ministers in charge. The House passed the Nagaland Goods and Services Tax Amendment Bill 2020 by voice vote, which was moved by Chief Minister Neiphier Ryu. The session was held while observing social distancing. As per the precautionary directive of the Speaker, all legislators, administrative heads of department and their supporting staff, officials and staff of the State Assembly area and media personnel underwent COVID-19 test for the Assembly session.
The News Services Division of All India Radio in its bilingual live phone-in program today will bring you a special discussion program on COVID-19. Professor Tanuja Nesari, Director All India Institute of Ayurveda, will participate in the discussion. Listeners can ask questions to the expert on toll-free telephone number 1800-115767. You may also ask questions on telephone number 011-2331. 4444 and post queries on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts by hashtag AskAIR. This can be heard tonight on FM Gold channel and additional frequencies from 9:30 p.m. onwards. In Bihar, flood situation has further deteriorated following torrential rains in catchment areas of Nepal and heavy discharge of water from Gandak Barrage. 215,000 cubic of water has been discharged from Gandak Barrage this evening and water level is increasing rapidly. In view of this, people living in low-lying areas have been advised to move to higher places. And now let's take a look at the weather forecast for tomorrow. The national capital, Delhi, will have generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. It will have a minimum temperature of around 24 degrees Celsius and maximum of 32. In Srinagar, the minimum temperature will be around 20 degrees and maximum around 34. Ladakh will see mainly clear sky. The temperature will hover between 18 and 32 degrees Celsius. In Gilgit, the temperature will hover between 18 and 37 degrees Celsius. It will experience mainly clear sky, becoming partly cloudy towards evening or night. In Muzaffarabad, there will be partly cloudy sky with the possibility of rain or thunderstorm or dust storm. The temperature will hover between 27 and 37 degrees Celsius. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. honouring the honest platform for transparent taxation unveiled by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Prime Minister calls for faceless and seamless tax system and to take care of taxpayers' dignity. A record number of over 8.3 lakh COVID-19 tests in a single day. Rajasthan Assembly session begins tomorrow. And Assam government allows public transport under new guidelines for Unlock 3. And with that, we end the evening news. Good night.